Hi everyone, this is Fortune99. This is sort of unscripted video without much of editing, but I just found a cool program that I wanted to share with you. But more than that, I think I just want to share my, well, something that is in reality probably an unhealthy obsession, but we'll just roll with it. You see, my fascination with minimal UI does not end on hating crosshair and loving diegetic UI. Although I am playing Metro Exodus right now on Ranger Hardcore difficulty with full immersion setting that disables all HUD elements except for crafting menu, and it's just mwah. Even if I had to Google how to change ammunition type and didn't know that I can lower my weapon until like chapter 4, where I accidentally held down the H button and then I realized that I probably messed up 2 quests because of that. Also, it took way too long for me to realize that compass points to where to go, not with the giant green arrow, but with a small red arrow. But hey, that one is just my stupidity. Anyway, I also have a weird obsession with making my Windows and my applications in general, as you may say, minimal UI, or maybe UI less as possible. I mean, look at my desktop. You are looking at it right now. I mean, okay, not exactly. I have an ultrawide and the video is 16:9, so let me do this. Now you see it. Can you spot the enemy already? Well, before I talk about it, let me give you a quick tour. This is how my start menu looks like. Just a list of favorite applications along with search, which, let me do this.
Windows 11 is great. I mean, this baby, forgotten about you, Mr. Windows Search. You were the chosen one, finally to be focused on helping us find our files and applications. But no, Microsoft decided that web results should still be the priority. Now, to be clear, it is better than Windows 10, way better than Windows 10.
But it's somehow worse than Windows 7. So having Windows 7 search back thanks to the classic shell is really awesome. And if I cannot find some program like flawless widescreen, usually it means that the program is portable, which means it doesn't have an entry in the registry, if I understand how search works. Then I have everything neatly organized within my folders. And this is how my Explorer looks like. It's not perfect. I still have not figured out how to get rid of this menu below the address bar, which just copies what you already can do with the right mouse click context menu. But hey, at least I figured out how to get rid of the home, gallery and OneDrive menu that used to be permanently pinned here. I have considered adding a sleep button to my start menu instead of having just the turn off the computer. Then I found out that you can just press Alt F4 on the desktop and it will give you this neat pop-up with all options. I will add it later on probably, just so that I wouldn't need to press my keyboard every time I want to put my computer to sleep. And before I show you my browser, let me guys quickly show you the Arc browser. Have you guys heard of this? A browser that doesn't just meet your needs, it anticipates them. Clean and calm, Arc shapes itself to how you use the internet. Wow, so the browser that shapes itself to how you use the internet. Wow, space. Hell yeah, I love space. So let's install it real quick, shall we? Downloading. Okay, it's downloading, makes sense. Tailoring your experience. So it already has downloaded. It's just tailoring my... What do you mean tailoring my experience? I thought like it's the program, it has default settings. What do you mean like tailoring? How do you know my... Oh, optimizing now settings. So it has already downloaded, it's just... Oh, okay, loading key features, as opposed to all the other features that are not key. Ah, fine-tuning for speed. Isn't that the same thing as optimizing settings? I mean, alright, fine-tuning for speed. I just wonder if it's downloaded already, or is it still downloading? Or is it doing both? Like it's downloading and it's fine-tuning for speed? Adding final ingredients. Oh, those must be all of those non-key features, because it already has downloaded key features. And here it is. Wow, it even has a fancy sound. Yeah. Meet the internet again. I'm ready. And you need an account just to use the browser. Now, they say that we use accounts to sync tabs, but I don't need to synchronize tabs. I have one computer, and the Arc browser itself doesn't even have like an Android version or an iPhone version. So I don't need synchronization. Can I just use the browser without creating an account? Well, the answer is no. So let's say you create an account, right? All right, let's open it up. full screen, and let's go to YouTube, for example. No, not the browser company, please, just youtube.com. Now, this thing on the left, you can toggle it, which is awesome. I wish the browser that I use normally had this function so that you could show the window manager on hover. This is pretty awesome. Now let's open up the classic. By the way, just a side note, if you guys ever wanted to learn youtube.com, if you guys ever wanted to learn how to pronounce hedgehog in Ukrainian, I think this video is like a useful training material because
Yi.
yeah.
Yi.
Yeah.
Їжак.
Їжак. Okay, let's say it together now, okay? Їжак. All right, let's go. Їжак. Hell yeah. So you have learned two things. First, you learned how to say hedgehog in Ukrainian, and second, you learned that every window in this browser is within these like 4 borders. Now, the border on the right doesn't even hide a scroll bar, so it's like useless. The border at the bottom is just sitting there, like it's Big Yoshi. It's just there. And the border on the left, you can argue that the border on the left is like needed to help with this mouse on hover function, right? Because otherwise maybe you trigger it accidentally, but I simply disagree. You can still have this window hovering without having this border. So on all websites, there will be these 4 borders surrounding you. I mean, top border, sure, you cannot get rid of it, but the other ones, like, why are they here? And once I found out that you cannot configure that, my journey with the Arc browser was finished. So I returned back to my darling Vivaldi. Now, just before I decided to make this video, YouTube has pushed this update on me that made titles gigantic for no reason whatsoever. So I'll just resize the web page and we're going to pretend like everything is fine, even though it's clearly not fine. And I'll figure out how to bring this back to normal later on. So as you can see, I don't have tabs in the upper part of my browser. That's not because there aren't any right now. It's because Vivaldi has 3 more methods of dealing with tabs apart from a normal tab bar. And I find them sufficient enough to not need a tab bar, so that's why I disabled it. But then again, thanks to Vivaldi configuration, I can enable it in a few clicks. Boom, here it is. For now, I'm going to disable it. Now, the first alternative method, if you will, is using mouse gestures. In my case, if I hold the right mouse button, then move to the right, then release, I switch to the tab that is on the right. If I do the same but in the opposite direction, I switch to the tab that is on the left. The second method is hold down the right mouse button and use scroll wheel. This will give you a list of all tabs that you have currently open. Besides, you can also configure it to look differently. I display the tab cycler as a list, but you can also display them as tiles, or you can not even display them. You can just cycle, right? So if I hold down the right mouse button and scroll wheel up, this will take me to the previous tab, and if I scroll wheel down, this will take me to the next tab. And that way you can switch between tabs like crazy fast, but not very precise. So that's why I prefer to display a list. And the third method, which is the one that I wish Vivaldi had an option to open it on hover, is the window manager. Again, I use mouse gesture to open it. I use hold down the right mouse button, move down and release it. Now, the cool thing about Vivaldi is that it supports nesting tabs and it also supports workspaces, which essentially allows for a 3-level nesting within the window manager, right? So you have workplace, within it you have tab stack, and within it you can have tabs. And my bookmarks are right there. If I press them, they will open in the same fashion that the window manager opens. If I accidentally close the tab, I can reopen it with the mouse gesture as well. So I can close it and I can reopen it. And yeah, I close tabs with the mouse gesture as well. In my case, mouse down, mouse up. right? So if I close this, it is no longer in my tabs, and then I can reopen it with mouse gesture. If I want to open a new tab, I used to have a mouse gesture for new tab, but then I realized that I have a very weird like addiction to opening new tabs, as weird as it sounds. So now if I know where I'm going, I use bookmarks. If you press it with left mouse click, you open the tab in the same tab you're currently on, or if you press it with mouse scroll wheel, then you open it in a new tab. Or if I don't know where I'm going, or if I just want to search for a bookmark faster, I use the Vivaldi command center. So if I want to search for something, if I press enter, I will open it in the current tab, or if I press shift enter, I will open it in the new tab. And it works for bookmarks as well, by the way. If you press enter, you open it in the current tab. If you press shift enter, you open it in a new tab. I wrote entire script for a video about Braid, the video game, because the anniversary edition recently came out. And then I accidentally went back in time to before I wrote anything, and now I cannot figure out how to go back, which I think is like the point of the game or whatever. So that's how I create new tabs if I ever need one. Because again, as a nasty habit, I would constantly clutter like 30 to 40 tabs and then slowly deal with them all. And in order to reduce that a little bit, I decided to use like this system instead, to pay more attention towards whether or not I need for the particular tab to stay open within my browser. And if I ever really need an address bar, which I usually don't, because yeah, if you do everything through command center, then well, you have the search field here. And if you want to copy the page address, usually it's always available through the mouse to menu. But if I ever need an address bar, I can just press F8, or I can again use Vivaldi command center to focus address field, just like that. Or again, with this browser being so customizable, I can bring back the address field with just one mouse gesture, and here it is back. Or you can use command center for that. For now, I will disable them. Well, I hope you enjoyed this ride so far, because it is time to introduce you to our enemy. The taskbar. Yeah, it's literally just the taskbar. Now, bringing back the old taskbar with the start alt back, because this is Windows 11, if you can't tell. I hope you can't tell, because Windows 11 is ugly by default. Anyway, so bringing back the old taskbar, then making taskbar black with the help of Classic Shell, and sprinkling in some magic here and there with taskbar tweaker, it did make it better. But it's still taking up space. And if you think about it, basically anytime you have to deal with multiple programs, you usually have to work with keyboard. Which means if you want to switch between windows, it's almost always easier to do it with Alt-Tab and more visually clearer as well. And you don't need to spend your precious fractions of a second to reach down, press, then reach up. I mean, you're wasting too much time if you're doing this. So the only reason I need taskbar is for the start menu. That's literally the only reason. Or so I thought, but we'll get to it. Now, some of you may be screaming already that the option to hide taskbar is already available in Windows. Under taskbar behaviors, you can automatically hide the taskbar. And this is a great option, and I used it for a very long time. In fact, the reason I mentioned the 7 Plus taskbar tweaker is because now it is no longer the case, so unfortunately I will not be able to show you this, but it used to be the case that if you hide your taskbar, you could still see just a few white pixels of the Show Desktop button. In Windows 11, it is no longer the case because there is no white line constantly for the Show Desktop, but I used to use the 7 Plus taskbar tweaker specifically because it allows you to hide the Show Desktop button, which is no longer needed. Anyway, anyone who used the auto hide taskbar long enough probably also understands why I didn't stick with it. It's just sometimes buggy or inconvenient, or like every time you want to switch an application using your mouse and not Alt-Tab, you need to wait the animation for it to go up. I mean, it's serviceable, but ultimately just annoying, even if it gives you some extra screen real estate. And here comes our new challenger, Tabame. Yeah, the thing that is probably in the title of this video. We are beginning to speak about it only now at the last third of it. This is like if Joseph Anderson made Witcher 3 review and then talked about Bugsnax for the first 4 hours. Anyway, my review will not be as deep because, frankly, I don't care about most features this app provides, and also, I am not sure how to pronounce it. Now, do you know how Super Mario says, Mamma Mia! And let's go! When I look at this word, I see like the first part of the word is tap, and the second part is me, and then there is a, so I'm gonna pronounce this app as Tabame, and you cannot stop me. So anyway, yeah, I don't care about most of the features this app has, even though it has a lot. I deactivated most of them. I don't mean that they are useless. In fact, I kept, for example, scheduled shutdown. I used to use a separate application for that, but this is much more convenient. The only features I kept is the open task manager. You can show desktop here, media controls and audio controls. Audio controls are especially great. If you use the scroll wheel on audio control, you can change the volume. If you left click, you can select your output and input devices, as well as change the volume of individual applications. Awesome. But the coolest feature for me is if you right click it, you can change the audio output source, which is something I never knew I needed. So now every time I want to switch between my headphones and my speakers, I don't need to press this and then look for specifically, okay, where are the headphones, where are the speakers. Instead, I can just press right mouse button, and you know, if I don't hear it coming from my headphones, I just press it again and boom, there it is. And I can press it again to switch back to the speakers. Below that is the list of all open windows. So if you click on it with your left mouse button key, you switch to it. If you click it with your right mouse button, you have some handy options, like you can dock it, you can force close it, and you can also set it to be always on top. And if you click it with your mouse scroll wheel, unfortunately nothing happens. If you want to close the app, you can do it with this icon, but you can't do it by pressing the mouse scroll wheel the way it works with tabs in a browser. And below that is a list of my favorite applications. So basically I just took everything from the start menu and put it here. And yeah, if you couldn't tell, essentially the way it works is you bind a hotkey to it. Now the most intuitive one is either mouse button 4 or mouse button 5, which is, by the way, again, really quickly,
Throwing flashbang.
something really cool that Vivaldi has that doesn't seem cool when you read it out loud is mouse gestures for going back and going forward. Now, most mouses have mouse button 4 and mouse button 5, which is the forward and back button, but somehow these gestures are more convenient and effortless than moving your thumb to press forward or back button. Now, if you've never used it, just look at your mouse and try to imagine it, alright? Because it sounds complicated, but it really isn't. If you hold the right mouse button and press the left mouse button, you are going back, and if you hold the left mouse button and press right mouse button, you are going forward. Again, it seems like just using the back and forward buttons on mouse would be more convenient and quicker, but it really isn't. Using these mouse gestures actually a lot quicker and a lot more convenient than moving your thumb. Anyway, so yeah, if you press the selected hotkey, you open a menu right next to your mouse, wherever it is. And yeah, you can use it as taskbar alternative. And look at this. It allows you to hide taskbar. Hell yeah. Zen achieved. I mean, not the real one. I think the real one would be not caring about this stuff to begin with, but this is the second best thing after that, okay? Well, kind of. Unfortunately, this thing doesn't have a search. But that's not a problem, because it also allows you to open the start menu without having a taskbar. Boom! Isn't that great? And again, taskbar is not taking up any screen real estate, and yet you still have access to the start menu and the search bar, of course. If this application, Tabame, did only that, I would already consider it a win. But it does so much more, and it's awesome. Goodbye, taskbar. I don't need you anymore, and I will never need you again. Oh, sorry, my bad. Again, I forgot my Discord is open. Let me quickly turn it off. My bad, guys. Oh, The system tray.
God damn it!
The system tray provides for an easy way to view applications that are currently running in the background and turn them off with just 2 clicks. Now, this application is cool enough to enable and disable the taskbar with just a click. And yes, it is a lot better than the default auto hide option from Windows. But nevertheless, the taskbar in some form for some occasions remains. If only this app had a system tray and a search, it would be perfect.
Perfect.
And the taskbar would be defeated once and for all. Would I be satisfied with my UI tweakery then? Of course not. It's not enough. It's never enough. But I think that at this point I am pushing Windows to its limits. Maybe one day. Maybe on Linux. Maybe even soon. I will say this software sometimes seemingly has a bug where you can still see the start menu while having the taskbar disabled. And I just want to say, if there was something like this, something that would show you all the icons and the start menu and the system icon tray without having the actual taskbar, something like that, but for everything, that would be interesting to see. Maybe that would work. And if you know something like that, let me know, because I have scrolled through a lot of taskbar alternatives. I mean, I probably still only touched the surface of interface tweakers. Compared to rosts from accused farms, it's probably nothing.
What the hell?
But this seemingly is the best alternative to taskbar. But, you know, there is always a chance that maybe I have missed something. For now, it is what it is.
It is what it is.